Coming up next, race number 2 of round 4 in the LC40 Elites. And it will be very, very exciting indeed. The riders getting ready to go racing and getting ready to push themselves to the absolute limits. Of course, we've had a few dropouts, unfortunately, this weekend from the Elites. Oliver Hall, while training, unfortunately has broken his arm and has had to withdraw from the remainder of the season. So a big shame there for Oliver Hall. Of course, we wish him all the very best and hope to see him back on the track as soon as possible. But Oliver Hall down and out of the season, and that is a real shame. But as the riders get going out onto the dummy grid, could be very, very interesting, Zach.
I think so indeed. Of course, we'll run you through the grid order. Of course, Logan Cousens will start from pole position ahead of Mason FEDRICK coming into this race. And then, of course, Rex Austin, that is the front row. A very close championship, it must be said. Max Johnson, Caelan RATCLIFFE and Arthur RICHH, that's row 2. Jenson ANSELL from Maxwell KEATES, Tommy Keates, that's row 3. Danny Longhurst and Oliver Wilson completing the 11-rider field. And a quick rundown, actually, of how things went down in race 1. It was FEDRICK from Cousens, from Austin and RATCLIFFE. So, of course, our big 3 from the pros inside the top 4. And, of course, Logan Cousens there as well, who has really been stepping up this season, winning races and smashing it at the top of the championship. This should hopefully be a decent race, Ross.
We are being joined by a very special guest in the commentary box. Hopefully the headset is working. If not, we might have to do some chopping and changing. But as the riders get onto the formation lab, would you like to introduce yourself to everyone at home?
Yeah, I'm Bradley Curtin, so I'm in America 50s.
Well, that sounds like it's working in my ears, so thank you very much for joining us, Bradley. Great to have you here to join us in the commentary box for this Elites race. Of course, I'm sure you've spent many a year riding Minimotos before, up and down the country. Of course, this is the step before you get up onto the MetroKit bikes. Now, what's the competition like at this level, would you say?
Yeah, it's very hard, but they're all quick riders, to be honest. You can never go easy on someone because they'll always just overtake you, so...
Yeah, very, very tough championship, and maybe some of them will be racing against you next year as well, so you're probably watching with an eager eye. But before we do get going, talk to us a little bit about Rowrah. What's it like to ride around here?
It's very good, it's quite tight, and if you get the throttle on earlier, you will be up at the front, and yeah, and I think all the people who get on the throttle early will be at the front, and it's hard braking zones, so yeah, have to be on good on the brakes as well.
Brave on the brakes then. Let's see if they're going to follow that ideology. Race start about to get itself underway. Of course, quick reminder, the front row, Logan Cousens, Mason FEDRICK, Rex Austin. A lot of championship at stake, of course, as they round towards the end of the first half of 2024. LC40 Elites, 9 laps of racing. All eyes to the lights. From pole position, let's see who can get the jump. And, of course, a fantastic launch from Logan Cousens as he leads towards turn 1. Then FEDRICK from Austin, that completes the podium. Caelan RATCLIFFE, of course, getting a good launch, I think, ahead of Max Johnson. He's then into 4th place, already trying to hammer onto the back of Rex Austin, going into the first hairpin. 3 wide momentarily in the background as well as they fight. But a good start nonetheless from our championship leader.
Great stuff there from Logan Cousens. Got the launch that he wanted and already starting to build a bit of a gap, starting to get some breathing room behind him. That seems to be Logan Cousens' game plan for most races in this season. Just get a good launch, get a gap behind, and then control the pace, control the rhythm of the race. And that is what he's doing right now. But Mason FEDRICK up into 2nd. That's withstanding pressure from behind. Rex Austin on the 991, trying to negotiate his way around, but can't quite do it. Oh, that's a stoppage there. That's the 126 of Oliver Wilson coming to a halt. Problem with the bike. Not what you want to see at the start of the race, unfortunately. If you can get it fixed, he'll be able to rejoin. But early doors in the race, that is a real shame. But it will be Logan Cousens that leads from Mason FEDRICK from Rex Austin in P3. Bradley, looks like Logan has already pulled the pin and absolutely sent it up the front. What can someone like Mason FEDRICK or Rex Austin do to try and close that gap?
I think, to be honest, Mason knows he's getting pressured by Rex Austin, but I think Logan will probably, the gap will stay the same, but then I think Mason will come down, give him a challenge at the end, and Rex Austin overtaking there on the inside, and Rex Austin doesn't give up on a challenge.
That's a lovely move there by Rex Austin to slide up into 2nd place. Last lap, Mason FEDRICK was the fastest rider outside of Logan Cousens, but Rex Austin with a great move coming down into Stewart. FEDRICK not going to take no for an answer though. Looking left, looking right, but can't find the gap as it becomes 8 laps, or 7 laps left to run, should I say. It's Cousens from Austin, from FEDRICK, your top three.
Yeah, not long, of course, as these laps do tick by very quickly. Bradley, I do want to ask, if you're in Rex Austin or Mason FEDRICK's shoes, what is going through your mind? Of course, you're battling, of course, here for P2, but Logan Cousens, he's getting away. Do you fight for P2 or do you go for the win?
I'll go for the win. If I was Rex, I would not go defensive, but not go all my lines out, try and get on the throttle a bit earlier, but just do my own thing and try and pull away from Mason.
Yeah. And sort of, if you're Mason, are you going to sit back and let sort of Rex and work together to go and catch, or are you fighting for P2?
I'd fight for P2, and then if I do get past Rex, I would try and pull, but then if there is a battle, I'll try and overtake on the last lap.
Interesting stuff. Of course, that gap to Logan Cousens is growing more and more. 54.109 at that last time by. 6 laps to go at the line. A couple of battles happening periodically throughout the entirety of the field. Very close between Danny Longhurst and Henrie BRODIE as well in that fight for P7. So a lot to look out for as this race progresses, but that's exactly what we expect in the Elites, isn't it?
Always is. I mean, it's the Elites for a reason. You know, this is the top step in Minimoto racing before you make that jump onto the Metrokit Mini GP bikes, before you make that jump onto Grand Prix style machinery. So this is essentially the best of the best in Minimoto in the junior classes. So they're going absolutely for it. You know, they're leaving nothing on the table. It's maximum attack and just showing what you can do. And there we do see, holding off at the moment, the 22 of Jenson ANSELL from Max Johnson. Johnson looks to the inside, had a little bit of a go, but decided against it, sat the bike back up again. But the 141 looking very racy. Of course, the 22 did slide on by on the previous tour. The 141 of Max Johnson. He'll be wanting to have a look, and once again, we've seen this when he's been racing across the weekend. He likes just poking a nose, poking a front wheel up the inside into Sunny Bend and just seeing what he can do. It's quite tricky to overtake around here at Rowrah, Bradley. What do you need to do to try and force your way through another rider?
Well, you definitely need to be quite precise, but I would say try and line them up on your favourite corner and then try and pull away, because if you mess up on this track, you're guaranteed to let someone pass, especially on the hairpins.
It is very, very tricky, very, very technical round here at the Cumbria Kart Racing Club, to say the least. Punishing but rewarding when it all goes so right. Logan Cousens has the fastest lap in the lead of the race, 53.968. He is disappearing off into the distance up the front of the pack with what will soon be 4 laps left to run. Rex Austin and Mason FEDRICK, though, still doing battle. FEDRICK was quicker on that last lap and looking once again to the inside. FEDRICK now drawing alongside Rex Austin, doesn't quite get the drive onto the front straight. But Mason FEDRICK showing he's not done and dusted yet. He's still going to fight over this second place.
Yeah, and a very, very good run actually through turns 1 and 2 towards the hairpin. Not quite able to send the move into the hairpin. Of course, maybe a little bit tentative now. He's done that stoppy in the pros trying to get past earlier, but still there is an opportunity. Quick rundown as to how things rack up. Logan Cousens, of course, dominating out in front, looking to extend on what is already a 61-point lead in the championship. Rex Austin from Mason FEDRICK, that's the podium, that's this battle here. Caelan RATCLIFFE from Max Johnson, that's the top 5. Jenson ANSELL, Danny Longhurst, the top 7. Henrie BRODIE from Tommy Keates, Arthur RICHH, the top 10. Well, Maxwell KEATES and Oliver Wilson, unfortunately, who went down a little bit earlier on. Not sure if he's been able to get back going again, but that's our 12-rider field for the Elites. Not long left to go. What's going through the minds, of course, of our riders as they're battling for position, Bradley?
I'd say, to be honest, Henrie BRODIE's getting under pressure by 3 riders, and it looks like it's going to be hard. It looks like it's going to be a good battle at the end, but he's pushing quite a lot, and yeah.
Yeah, Henrie BRODIE currently in P8. Tom Keates behind, as well as Arthur RICHH. And Maxwell KEATES is going down there. Rider coming through Sunny Bend. So easy to lose the bike. And just drops the front a bit of a low side, trying to get back on and get it restarted. That is the 26 of Danny Longhurst, who's gone down. Frustration there late in the day. And a real shame for Danny that gets going again. Of course, Bradley, accidents are part of racing. Sometimes you do fall off. You know, what does Danny need to do? Of course, you know, it's late in the race. It looks like, you know, it may be done and dusted for her, unfortunately. She's going to be down the back of the pack. But I guess it's more about just getting back on the bike, resetting and just finishing the race. You can go into the next one with a positive mindset.
Yeah, just feel confident. And another one off.
Oh, that's huge. And that's Cedras. Ansell and Johnson, should I say. They were fighting for P5. Max Johnson and Jenson ANSELL have had a huge off. Yellow flags are out. Both riders up on their feet. That is great to see. Good. My, oh my, that could have been disastrous. We were just talking about accidents a moment ago, Bradley, and well, just goes to show anything can happen in racing. Great to see that both the riders are up on their feet, but with 2 laps left to go, that's not what you want to see.
It doesn't look like Max is all right. He's shaking his hand and he looks hurt.
Well, we'll get it confirmed for you that everyone is okay as soon as we know. Hopefully just a bit of a bump and a bruise. Logan Cousens leads the way with 2 laps to go. Rex Austin and Mason FEDRICK rounding out our podium. But late drama here at Rowrah, Zach. That's come out of nowhere, that one.
Yeah, that is a big off. Of course, they were fighting very hard for what was at P4. Last lap, though, and we're following our leader, Logan Cousens, 6 seconds ahead of Rex Austin. As I say, he's come into this weekend with 6 wins already to his name. Absolutely flying. And, of course, the benchmark for everyone to go and catch. He'd only lost 2 races. One of them he didn't finish. The other one he finished in P2. That is the level that Logan Cousens is rising to. And what do you expect from Logan going into sort of the rest of the season and, of course, the future, next season and beyond for Logan Cousens? What do you think he can go and do, Bradley?
He looks very strong. Obviously, it's a double header this weekend, so if he wins most of them, he looks like he's going to get ahead in the championship, but he looks very strong.
He does indeed. Looking very strong all the way through this race. He's dominated 9 laps of racing for race 2 of round 4 of the LC40 Elites. He takes off another victory, and for another time this season sees the checkered flag first as Logan Cousens. Absolute dominant force ahead of Rex Austin and Mason FEDRICK, who complete the podium here for the third race of today and the second race of their weekend. Bradley, thank you very much for coming and joining us. That was a great bit of insight to sort of touch on. What can we expect from the Elites for the rest of the weekend? More of the same?
Yeah, I'd say a bit more battles and hopefully no one crashes.
That's what we're always hoping, isn't it? Logan Cousens takes victory with Rex Austin in P2. Mason FEDRICK rounds out the podium with Caelan RATCLIFFE in 4th. Henrie BRODIE set to finish 5th with RD4 6th. Tommy Keates in 7th. Maxwell KEATES in P8. Danny Longhurst 9th. Max Johnson and Jenson ANSELL, unfortunately, late DNFs there. And Oliver Wilson also a DNF, unfortunately. Thank you very much, Bradley Curtis, for joining us in the commentary box. One last thing before we go. Of course, it's a double header this weekend. You've got 6 races, some riders doing as many as 12. Do you think maybe getting tired is something that might come in for the guys in the Elites and other classes as well, because you're just doing so much racing?
Yeah, like if you're like Rex Austin, Mason FEDRICK, you've got 2 races. You've got pros and Elite, and they work very hard, especially Caelan RATCLIFFE and all them who ride in it, and yeah, Max Johnson and all them, and yeah, early nights.
Absolutely. Thank you very much for joining us, Bradley. Of course, the LC40 Elites, they'll be back out a little bit later on for their race number 3 of round 4. But man, oh man, what a great race that was. Very, very enjoyable indeed, Zach Sweeney. And, well, just awesome stuff from start to finish. Time for race number 3 in round 4 of the OH Logistics LC40 Elite Championship, the premier class for Minimoto Junior Racing here at FAB. And we've had some great racing so far this weekend as well. Logan Cousens, seemingly a man on a mission to pick up a maximum amount of points. The championship leader has been looking phenomenal, but elsewhere we've been seeing some great action, the likes of Mason FEDRICK and Rex Austin, who also start on the front row looking mighty fast. Arthur RICHH also been doing a good job. He'll be going for P6. Again, not a full field of bikes here this weekend, unfortunately, in the Elites. And we've lost a couple to injury. Of course, Oliver Hall breaking his arm during training earlier in the week, and he's had to withdraw from the championship as a result. A big shame for Oliver. I'm sure he'll be coming back next year stronger and better. Also earlier on in the weekend, Josh Perkins had a fall and broke his collarbone, so a big shame. So he won't be competing in the rest of this weekend. So obviously spending our wishes to Josh for a speedy recovery. I'm not a doctor, but I'm assuming that collarbone is probably one of the better bones to break, as ridiculous as that sounds. I think it heals quite fast, so that's good at least. And yeah, sending all our best to Josh. But it's all eyes to the racing now. It's not about who's not here, it's about who is here. And who is here? Championship leader Logan Cousens on pole, dominant in race number 2. Who'll be looking to continue that in race number 3, Zach?
Yeah, he will be indeed. Of course, 6 seconds clear of Rex Austin and Mason FEDRICK. Caelan RATCLIFFE was involved as well to some extent over the duration of race 2 earlier in the day, but nothing quite to the level that of course, Logan Couzens has been able to rise to in the LC40 Elites. It's been all season long. He's won pretty much everything that he's finished bar one race, which was P2 at race 2 at Three Sisters. He is on fire. His next closest rival was Oliver Hall, who's now pulled out of the best part of the season. Then it's Mason FEDRICK, and even then, that is a good 62-point lead that he had coming into this round. It'll be even bigger now. We've had a couple of races for him to extend that gap. It's going to be tough for Mason FEDRICK to close that, because that probably is a good 3 race wins if he wants to lead the championship.
Logan Couzens starts on the pole position alongside Mason FEDRICK and Rex Austin on the front row. Max Johnson is P4 with Caelan RATCLIFFE in P5 and Arthur RICHH starting P6. Jenson ANSELL starts in 7th with Maxwell KEATES in 8th and Tommy Keats completing the 3rd row of the grid. And only 2 riders on row number 4, Daniel Longhurst in P10 and Oliver Wilson in P11. 11 rider grid here for the OH Logistics LC40 Elite Championship. Round 4, race number 3. Of course, they've still got 3 more races after this one to complete this weekend. It is a double header round, 6 races per class. It's just as different rounds technically at the same track. Riders making their way onto the grid. You've got to be thinking what's going through the minds of these riders right now. Normally this would be the end of their weekend. They've got 3 more races yet to go, so there's plenty of opportunity to still make some points. But as well, you want to be pushing now. You also don't want to wear yourself out for round 5.
Yeah, it's true. It's a very difficult balance to strike. You want to get as many good results as you can. I suppose it is finding that golden mean that you can just walk across. It is a tightrope, but all eyes to the lights for race 3 of the OH Logistics LC40 Elite class. From pole position, Logan Couzens leads us, and what a launch that was from P3. Goodness me, Rex Austin straight away into 2nd place. Bit of a tussle for P3 as well in the background as they fight their way through the chicane for the first time, but Logan Couzens not waiting for anybody to take off on the opening lap.
Great stuff there from Logan Couzens away from the lights and already starting to bridge a gap backwards, starting to build up that lead. That's how he likes to race, Logan. He likes to set out early, set a gap early and then go from there, not really control the pace from the front. He just wants to go out there, get out, build a big enough of a gap that he's not under pressure and then run his own race. That's just his style. It's what he does. And you can see there already a big gap starting to build up. FEDRICK, meanwhile, dropping back behind Caelan RATCLIFFE now in P4 as Rex Austin tries desperately to hunt down Couzens from the lead. Can FEDRICK maybe try and negotiate his way back round the number 96? He's under big pressure from Jenson ANSELL behind as well. Already a 3-bike battle beginning to form as they head into the chicane. End of the opening lap. It's Logan Couzens that leads from Rex Austin, from Caelan RATCLIFFE, your top 3, but FEDRICK and ANSELL are right on RATCLIFFE's tail. So this could very well be the main battle we're watching, the battle for 3rd place.
I think so, and even then that's good prestige. Of course, 1, 2, 3, the podium, that's what they're all going to be aspiring to go and do. And right now, Caelan RATCLIFFE, we saw how good his defence was earlier on in the pros. He knows how to position that bike to keep a rider behind, and I think he's going to have to do it exactly again in this race. 7 laps left to go. A familiar rival, though, in the form of Mason FEDRICK.
Absolutely. FEDRICK and RATCLIFFE down in the AC40 Pros have been going toe-to-toe the entire season. Of course, great friends off track, fierce rivals on it, as so many are in FAB-Racing. A real family atmosphere until the rubber hits the road and you go racing. And they are used to racing each other. They know each other very well, both in terms of friendship, but in terms of racing abilities and what everyone likes to do. So it's one of those situations where if you try and go for a move, chances are you know the other one knows exactly what you're going to do and going to try and cover it, which creates a bit of a stalemate. You've got to try and work your way through. And FEDRICK and RATCLIFFE must be, they've started to pull away a little bit from Jenson ANSELL. I wonder if ANSELL's made a mistake, because it's not exactly like RATCLIFFE and FEDRICK have upped the pace ridiculously much. But as they continue to work around FEDRICK, a little bit of an opening there to the inside coming through Stewart. Thought he could give it a go, decided against him, and now he's really starting to mount the pressure as the number 5, swerving left and right, looking for a way through. As it stands, no such way. Again, a small gap opening on the run into Sunny Bend, and now on the exit, gets the drive. Does FEDRICK have what it takes to get through on this occasion? I don't think he will unless he gets a good cutback. Had to sit the bike up to avoid RATCLIFFE. That's going to allow Jenson ANSELL to maybe get involved. Unfortunately there, for Mason FEDRICK just a bit too much and had to get out of it to avoid an accident.
Yeah, exactly that. Showcasing how aggressive he can be, Mason FEDRICK. Was that too rash? Was it maybe a move in haste? Was it a mistake? However, that run out of the first hairpin is really putting him under pressure as Jenson ANSELL tries to apply some pressure. Of course, back from injury is ANSELL firing very, very nicely in the championships that he's been racing in this weekend, and is looking to maybe get onto the podium on his return. 5 laps left to go, make that about 4.5 at this stage of the lap. Logan COUZENS will make it 4 to go at the line. Caelan RATCLIFFE, though, under insurmountable amounts of pressure from Mason FEDRICK, trying so hard to keep that third place. The switchback might well be open for Mason FEDRICK, but he can't quite get the run through Sunny Bend towards the final corner. Not enough. RATCLIFFE has it covered.
This time RATCLIFFE left the door firmly closed, went super defensive into Paddock Bend because he knew FEDRICK would try. He did compromise his exit a little bit, but FEDRICK wasn't close enough to challenge. He actually came under pressure from ANSELL there a little bit, did the number 5, but nothing that was really going to threaten him. ANSELL once again looking to the inside. Jenson ANSELL really fancies giving it a go on Mason FEDRICK, doesn't he? He's looking super, super strong on the brakes, especially up through the hairpins. Watching him come into early, he's braking a little bit later and a little bit harder than everyone else. But he's also taking a very, very wide line, so it allows him to carry huge amounts of speed through the corners, which is really interesting to see compared to what FEDRICK and RATCLIFFE are doing. A small mistake there maybe from RATCLIFFE as FEDRICK looked to try and go the long way around, but was unable to do so. And ANSELL still having to watch from behind as it stands, patiently waiting, seeing if there's an opening, seeing if something kicks off in front so he can sweep up into the podium places. Best lap of a 56.053 so far from Jenson ANSELL. Pretty competitive, it must be said. But Logan COUZENS, his last lap, well, a 55.010. His best lap, a 53.880. So Logan COUZENS right now, he's 4.5 seconds ahead of Rex Austin. He is flying ahead at the front.
It really is, but in fairness, the pace from Rex Austin isn't bad. It's just the gap is too big at this point. As there we go, a fantastic little move there from Mason FEDRICK to try and pick his way through into third place. There is our leader, but there is the fight for third. Caelan RATCLIFFE, by the time they reached Stuart Bend, was able to get back in front of FEDRICK, who gets back underneath RATCLIFFE. It's now a drag race as they split either side of the lap traffic. Mason FEDRICK doesn't quite have the legs on the straight, but has he got the bravery on the brakes? No, he doesn't. RATCLIFFE once again stays in third place. Penultimate lap at the line. Mason FEDRICK running out of time for third place.
This is imperious defence from Caelan RATCLIFFE. Absolute brilliant stuff. And as the number 96 holds on onto third place, FEDRICK ducking left, ducking right, looking anywhere he can for an opening. But RATCLIFFE is just holding on superbly. He's got, off goes ANSELL! ANSELL a low side in the background coming into McRae's. Gets back on the bike, gets going once again. I think he might actually hold on to P5 because he was 8 seconds. Max Johnson has just slid through, but he's only dropped 1 place and is still in that fight as well. There's still 1.5 laps left to go for them. But ANSELL, I'm not sure if there was a little mistake or the bike just stepped out from underneath him, but a low side there for the number 22. Gets back on, but he has dropped a position.
Yeah, unfortunately, but to be fair, he's been lucky in an unlucky situation. He's done the work in the first part of this race to mean that should he make a mistake, he is going to be okay. Only drops 1 position. Mason FEDRICK carrying so much more speed through Paddock Bend than what RATCLIFFE is doing, but it costs him on the exit because he has to accelerate onto the back of RATCLIFFE and then back off again to not hit the back of him, and RATCLIFFE is then able to use that to bridge the gap and stay in third place. Final lap of the race though, there's our race leader, Logan COUZENS. He's had the most boring race of the weekend, but in the same, that's exactly what you want.
It's a casual Sunday afternoon ride, isn't it? You know, sun's out, on the bike, have a good time. And why not win a race while you're at it? 1 corner to negotiate for Logan COUZENS to make it 3 from 3 so far this weekend. As he completes round 4, round 5 looks ahead. Logan COUZENS makes it a 3rd win of the weekend here at the Cumbria Kart Racing Club. What a performance, what a weekend that young man is having. As Rex Austin on the 991 slots home in 2nd place. Strong pace, but nowhere near the pace of COUZENS, who gets 3rd at the line. RATCLIFFE holds on by 1/4 of a 10th of a second. Wow, that was close. Mason FEDRICK, talk about last chance saloon to the line. Unfortunately, he just missed out. But Mason FEDRICK will have to settle for 4th place after that brilliant fight. with Caelan RATCLIFFE. Max Johnson did hold on from Jenson ANSELL in the end. There we see problems for someone, I believe that might be Arthur Rich, who's having issues there. But Logan Cousens, the man of the moment. 3 wins out of 3 so far this weekend. Round number 4 is swept, and as he, well, actually no, that's 4 wins out of 4. This is round 5 now, isn't it? So that's 4 wins out of 4 for Logan Cousens, should I say? Or no, apologies. It is round 4. So there we go. So 3 wins out of 3. 3 races still to come, but looking mighty.
Is indeed. There he is, Logan Cousens, smiling away, 6.2 seconds clear of Rex Austin. Caelan RATCLIFFE completes the podium, only just ahead of Mason FEDRICK, who will stay in 4th. Max Johnson able to stay consistent and on the bike completes the top 5. Just behind that is Jenson ANSELL, who unfortunately had that low side through the first hairpin. He finishes 6th ahead of Henrie BRODIE. Then come the 2 Keates of Tommy and Maxwell. Danny Longhurst completes the top 10. Behind that is Oliver Wilson. Arthur Rich, unfortunately, a DNF from this race. That's not the end of the LC40 Elites for this weekend. They'll be back tomorrow for round 5.
We've had some race 3s, we've had some race 2s, and now it's time for a race number 1 in the LC40 Elite class, brought to you by OH Logistics. Of course, it's been a championship so far that's been dominated by Logan Cousens on the liquid-cooled bike, but a lot of the riders in this championship do use their air-cooled 40 bike, you know, the bikes that they use down in the pros. So a little bit unfortunate there in the sense that just in pure machinery terms, Cousens has an advantage. But nonetheless, it makes some exciting racing across the rest of the field. And again, very different conditions today to what we've seen over the weekend. Maybe Cousens will encounter some issues trying to deal with the cloudy and windier conditions. The riders are getting ready to head out, and as I say that, they are now heading out to the grid. I believe it will be two sighting laps, and then they will be going racing, and indeed they are. So, Zach Sweeney, race number 1 of round 5 for these guys. They've only had 3 races. The other 2 junior Minimoto classes are done for the weekend. So quite an interesting dynamic there. And these guys still having a whole other round to do.
Yeah, exactly. Now, of course, we have got a couple of returning faces. Logan Cousens will be the one to lead them off pole position from Mason FEDRICK and Rex Austin. We saw them literally 2 races ago in the pros. They're on row 1. Max Johnson as well on that 141. Same too with Caelan RATCLIFFE inside the top 5. So a lot of those returning faces, a lot of those big names from the pros here in the elites as well. But now they've got the adversary of Logan Cousens on that liquid-cooled Minimoto. Arthur Rich is able to round out row 2 ahead of Jenson ANSELL, Maxwell KEATES and Tommy Keates, the top 9. Danny Longhurst ahead of Oliver Wilson for our 11-rider field here for the first race of the second half of 2024 for the LC40 Elites. And what can we expect? Because thus far this weekend, it really just has been Logan Cousens' field to dominate.
Cousens, again, he does have the machine advantage. You know, we can't forget that, but that's not to take away him from the rider. Of course, it's all well and good having the quicker bike on that liquid-cooled bike, but you know, you've got to be able to ride the thing as well, and that's crucially what he's doing. He's taking that machine advantage and using his natural skill just to go out there and destroy everybody, you know, and that's why he's leading the championship. That's why he's dominating races all throughout the season. There's only been a handful of times he hasn't won so far this year. He's essentially taken all of the race wins bar 2 or 3 essentially. It's very much a championship that's in the palm of his hands. But of course, again, he's got to be going out there riding the thing. He's got to be on his best form to use that advantage of the machine. And of course, you know, there could be incidents. Of course, he has to work his way through traffic. And as well, you know, race starts we've been seeing will be starting from pole. The riders on pole all across this weekend, for whatever reason, I don't know if there's maybe some residue down on that side or something like that, but they've not been getting away very well. The racing line here is on the other side of the grid, so the riders starting in 3rd place, for example, naturally will have more grip away from the line. That's where the rubber gets laid down by the carts and the bikes that go around here. But just for some reason, pole position, they're starting poorly. So that's something to watch out for. Maybe Cousens also won't be getting a good start. Let's not get Mason FEDRICK though. He had a bit of a problem earlier on in the AC40 Pros Race 3. Let's hope that issue with the bike has been sorted. He was slow away from the line, then slow over the first few laps, then ended up pulling into the pits. He's back out there now on the bike, so hopefully everything's fixed. Also keep an eye for Rex Austin. He's been on fine form this weekend. Definitely one to watch on the front row.
Yeah, literally just off the back of a very dominant win in the pros. But Ice the Lights for the first race of the second half of 2024. Logan Cousens on pole and gets away well. Mason FEDRICK and Rex Austin as well. Caelan RATCLIFFE gets the jump on Max Austin, who's side by side with Jenson ANSELL as well in that fight for P5, going their way through the chicane for the first time. Of course, Logan Cousens is able to lead from FEDRICK. Then comes Austin RATCLIFFE as well. The top four on that 96 machine, also suffering some issues earlier on, but so far so good. A fairly clean start for the front four.
Yeah, it was a nice launch from Logan Cousens. Mason FEDRICK away much better than he was in the pros race earlier. Looks like any bike issues have been fixed as Rex Austin tucked into third. Jenson ANSELL looks like he made up a place or two away from the line there. As there we see the 141 of Max Johnson. Looks like he's lost out, unfortunately. Been the one who's lost the most positions on this opening lap. Oh, look at that. The number 991 of Rex Austin already starting to pile the pressure onto Mason FEDRICK. Not quite close enough to launch an attack yet, but certainly on the back of him. Again, Cousens already beginning to pull away up the front of this field. FEDRICK already, I'm sure, starting to switch his attention back, starting to switch his attention to defending, because the gap, you can see visually already, Cousens has booked his flight and checked out. He is gone. So the number 5, I think, really already should know that it's a race between him and the 991 for second place. But don't count out the riders behind them as well. There we see the 96 of Caelan RATCLIFFE. He's been on great form this weekend. So has Jenson ANSELL, who he's fighting with. If these two on screen now start to fight, it's going to invite those behind to get involved, join in. Up the inside goes the 991. Lovely move there by Rex Austin up the inside into Stewart. You've been seeing a few riders doing that, using the toe down the back straight to just get a bit of pull, then just pulling out to the inside on the brakes, nice and smooth, nice and simple, and locking the position.
Yeah, but Rex Austin took a defensive line into St John's, and look at the knock-on effect it's had. Mason FEDRICK has been able to get almost that double switchback, and we've seen all weekend how strong he is through that final corner, really committed, nearly touching the rear wheel, in fact, of Rex Austin. But we've just come off the back of the pros, and it was clear that Rex Austin had the pace over FEDRICK, but coming into the elites, and Mason FEDRICK has unlocked the pace that he's shown all weekend long. Maybe he's woken up a little bit, maybe he's had some breakfast, I don't know what it is, but he's doing a fantastic job at keeping Rex Austin honest. 6 laps left to go, and it's a fight for second unless Logan Cousens makes a mistake, because that pace at the front is absolutely rapid. Austin from FEDRICK, RATCLIFFE a little bit further back, but hopefully a brilliant battle nonetheless between second and third.
Absolutely. Austin may have slid in front of FEDRICK, but it's not done and dusted yet. He's got some fights further back in the pack. That's the 141. And Jenson ANSELL fighting behind him. Just been told in our ear that 22 of Jenson ANSELL who's just behind Max Johnson. He's been given a jump start penalty. That'll be a 3-second time penalty added to his race time. Unfortunate there for Max Johnson, but them's is the rules. You have to obey them. If you jump at the lights, that's as clear cut as they come, essentially. And the weekend of penalties across motorsport. Hopefully he doesn't get disqualified for being underweight at the end of the race.
Yeah, maybe not. We'll find out. No spoilers for Spa, of course. In the lesser important championship, because they've got 4 wheels for some reason.
Yeah,
I don't know why you do that.
2 wheels is better.
Yeah, exactly. And littler bikes as well. There's Caelan RATCLIFFE, of course, under pressure from said 22. Of course, it's going to be difficult for him. Of course, on the live timing, the penalty will already have been applied, so his track position relative to his timing position will be different. But that's why he started P7, and I was wondering why he was already pressuring Max Johnson for sort of a P4, and that is because he just about got that jump off the lights. It's something that we've seen all weekend long. You've got to be on it, and it's such a small, trivial thing that you can maybe only gain, say, half a tenth off the race start, but you can very quickly lose 3 or 4 or 5 seconds if you get a penalty.
Starts something you just have to learn in the race career. Again, you've got to remember, even though this is the LC40 Elites brought to you by RICHH Logistics, these guys are still very, very young. They haven't, some of them might already be riding the MetroKit Mini GP bikes, but they won't be racing them, certainly, especially at this stage in the season if they decided to focus in. And obviously, that's a whole different kettle of fish, where you've got the gear bikes. Starting them's completely different. These things, the twist and go bikes, little bit easier, but still, it's all about the reactions. It's just something you have to train and you have to learn. You have to just keep on top of it, and you have to learn as well not to go too early. And Jenson ANSELL on this occasion, unfortunately, has been caught on the wrong side of that. Got a bit too keen, but again, that's lessons. You have to make mistakes to improve, don't you? In life and in racing as well. As up the inside there, that was the number 8 of Tommy Keates on Henrie BRODIE, I believe. Lovely move there. Well, not Henrie BRODIE, Arthur RICHH, should I say. Lovely, lovely stuff. Tommy Keates looking very, very pacey right now, must be said, as he dives up the inside. It's 3 laps left to go in race number 1 of round 5 here at this doubleheader weekend at the Cumbria Kart Racing Club. Well, it's been a great race so far. Logan Cousens in absolute control, but the battle for second rages on.
Yeah, it does indeed. There might well be a look there. Time is of the essence, though. Max Johnson, like we said earlier, had a big off yesterday, but it's not knocked his confidence at all. Just to check in on our race leader, he is still there. We just haven't really had an excuse to look at him because he's been so far in front. 5.5 now is the gap. The time set for him was a 53.9. That's his quickest time, consistently doing about 55.2s, so not quite anywhere near the lap record set 6 years ago of over 52.1. Maybe the track not rub it in, a little bit too cold or whatever. At the moment, though, Logan Cousens really has no need to push the boundaries. All he needs is a comfortable, sustainable pace, and right now that's all he's riding at. 2 laps left to go and cruising to what is probably going to be another victory. Coming into this round, he'd won all but 2. One was a second place, the other was a DNF, and that is the form that he is on.
He's just been ridiculously good this year, has Logan Cousens, and well, it paints a very pretty picture for the future of his career. Of course, this is the top level of junior Minimoto racing here in FAB, and well, to win this looks very, very good on your CV and sets you up very nicely when you move up onto the Metrokit Mini GP bikes, the 50s and the 70s. That will be the next step of his bike racing journey. Comes round Paddock Bend and starts the final lap of the race. Oh, there was a rider off there at the final corner. Last lap flag is out. Hopefully everyone is okay. Find out who that is in just a short moment. But Logan Cousens doesn't let that affect him. Continues on his journey as he makes his way around. That number 7 machine has been mighty, not just all weekend, but all season long. And so has the boy on it as well. A wonderful, wonderful Monday morning ride, should I say, once again. Logan Cousens has looked comfortable, he's looked calm, he's looked collected. And I'm sure underneath that helmet is a cool, very level head. Making his way to the back section now and into the S's. Just a handful of corners to go for Cousens. He makes his way to Sunnybend for the last time. No one in front of him and nobody behind for Logan Cousens. This is as easy as they come, but he's still had to work hard, still had to push himself, test himself to the limits, and he's reaped the rewards. Logan Cousens wins once again in the OH Logistics LC40 Elite and wins by some margin. Rex Austin brings it home in P2, 6.5 seconds down the road, with Mason FEDRICK filling out our podium. What a phenomenal result there for Logan Cousens, though. Once again, he has been on absolute top form and continues to push hard.
He does indeed. Of course, yeah, another victory, another trophy to add to the cabinet, and he's been absolutely smashing it. Of course, they have just completed their first race of the weekend. We'll read you through the entirety of the finishing order as soon as we can. Just waiting for a couple more riders to run their way to the checkered flag, but there they are. Logan Cousens smashing it, smiling away for another victory in the LC40 Elites, brought to you by OH Logistics. Rex Austin, after a victory in the AC40 Pro class, is ahead of Mason FEDRICK on the podium. Caelan RATCLIFFE, Jenson ANSELL, the top 5, of course, still managing quite well despite that jump start penalty. Tommy Keates from Max Johnson, that's the top 7 with RD4, Henrie BRODIE and Maxwell KEATES, the top 10. One lonely rider outside, and that's unfortunately Oliver Wilson, who started to get up to pace a little bit, but still finishing, taking the checkered flag, and we'll see them a little bit later on when they take to their second race of round number 5. But up next, of course, we're going to be taking to the pit bikes, and a lot of intrigue in that one. But the LC40 Elites, Logan Cousens, taking to the top step once more.
Race number 2 in round 5 of this double-header weekend for the OH Logistics LC40 Elite. A race where, unfortunately, so far this weekend, well, you can essentially predict who's going to win. It's going to be Logan Cousens. Not only has he got a machine advantage, being the only one really using the liquid-cooled bike, everyone else using the air-cooled Minimotos, but he's also got the skill to put that machine to use and just walk away at the front. But there have been battles for second place. FEDRICK, Austin, Caelan RATCLIFFE, Max Johnson, RD4, all of them being involved. Jenson ANSELL as well on his return to FAB-Racing this weekend. The 22, starting from P7, looking absolutely ridiculously quick. Like he's blinking, his luck has never even been gone as the riders make their way out onto circuit. It has been awesome racing throughout, even if the win, you could almost say, has been predetermined. But as a great man once said, anything can happen in motorsport, and it usually does. It's not a done deal just yet.
Exactly that. I mean, that's why we go motor racing, right? It's because of that uncertainty. It's because we're always suspended in that anticipation, waiting for something to happen, waiting maybe for something to go wrong. We don't go motor racing, we don't enjoy motor racing because it has a predetermined outcome. That's just boring. We like that constantly lap after lap, corner by corner, things can change, reliability can strike, riders can get fatigued. Don't forget, these are just young kids that are on bikes that some of them are doing 12 races this weekend, plus practice, plus qualifying, plus early mornings, plus late nights. You know, it does take a toll. That's what motor racing can bring. Of course, they are ticking away quite nicely in terms of their race, their penultimate one of the round. Logan Cousens, he's got the best chance, let's put it that way, but it's not a done deal.
Cousens does start from the pole position with Mason FEDRICK alongside Rex Austin completing the front row. Max Johnson is fourth with Caelan RATCLIFFE in fifth. He's on fine form and fast starting this weekend. Keep an eye out for him. RD4 starts in P6. Jenson ANSELL starts in P7, Maxwell KEATES in P8 and Tommy Keats in P9. Danny Longhurst 10th and Oliver Wilson in P11. That's your grid for this one as the riders make their way to the start line. Mason FEDRICK had a bit of an issue earlier this morning with his bike, but it seems to all be sorted. He's not had any problems since then. Let's hope that it all works out fine for the man starting in P2. The riders focusing in. Last words of advice from parents, and then it'll be all eyes to those red lights, and we'll go racing in race number 2. It is lights out. We are underway. Great start there by Cousens. Also from FEDRICK and Rex Austin also away cleanly. They'll hold their positions down into the opening chicane. Looks like Caelan RATCLIFFE able to slide ahead of Max Johnson at the lights there. So he's up into P4. But the front three all away as you'd expect. None of them trading blows, trading places in the opening few corners. Logan Cousens already starting to extend a bit of an advantage as Mason FEDRICK maybe already started to turn his attention backwards to the 991 of Rex Austin behind him as the 991 looks to the inside. Austin with a sneaky move up the inside, but that was wonderful. And up into second place he goes. Mason FEDRICK left the door open. Austin saw the opportunity and grasped it with both hands. And through he goes up into second place as we come to the end of lap 1. It'll be Cousens from Austin, from FEDRICK, your top 3.
Yeah, exactly that. Beautiful stuff, it must be said, from Cousens just to lead the opening lap. But look at our big 3 from the AC40 Pro class. Once again, line astern in the Elites. We've got Rex Austin, Mason FEDRICK, Caelan RATCLIFFE, all of them nose to tail. Here comes Mason FEDRICK as well, using that slipstream, which of course as the wind picks up will become more powerful as the weekend develops. Now Mason FEDRICK on the back of the 991 trying to find a way through. These guys are going to be rivals for a long time to come, many years into the future. Caelan RATCLIFFE as well there, he's taken a couple of wins this weekend, 2 in the AC40 Pro class, looking for a podium in the Elites, but it's not going to come easy. Oh no, Rex Austin's gone down. Oh my goodness me, he's dropped it coming out of Stewart's and is down and out of this race. That was a big one.
That was a big one. Great avoiding action there from Mason FEDRICK as well as the bike slowly jittered his way across the racetrack. Good to see that Rex Austin is up and on his feet and a bit of a grumpy look on his face, but looks to be all okay after a bit of a knock and a fall. With the 991 down and out, that's a real shame for him. It just goes to show how easy things can change in a race. One little mistake, push too hard, just maybe lose grip suddenly, and it can all go so wrong. That means Mason FEDRICK promoted up to second. Caelan RATCLIFFE now on the podium. Max Johnson and Jenson ANSELL, they're now fighting for P4. Jenson ANSELL, a little bit of a run out of McRae's hairpin. He's been looking good coming out of the hairpin so far this weekend, especially Erdell's. He's really good at just hooking the bike round, getting it rotated, and then getting the drive down, getting on the throttle really early. This time though, Max Johnson able to match him as they headed down the back straight into the fast stuff. There you see Rex Austin sitting forlornly at the side, having a chat with his dad. A real shame there for him, but he'll be back out later on. Still one more race in the OH Logistics LC40 Elites Championship to come this weekend. This is race 2 out of 3 in round number 5. Can Jenson ANSELL find a way through on that number 141. Behind them as well is Tommy Keates. If these two keep doing battle, this could very quickly become a three-way fight for P4. Ansell had to lift off the gas there a little bit as Max Johnson got slightly out of shape. Johnson defensive when he doesn't need to go. This could open the opportunity up for Jenson ANSELL. Indeed it does. Gets the drive, gets the switchback, gets the move. Max Johnson did not need to defend. Down there into McRae's hairpin. He chose to do so. Ultimately, it has cost him the position. That's why you need to be so smart about when you choose to go on the defensive, Zach, because if you're doing it pointlessly, it's just costing you time.
Yeah, exactly. You look over your shoulder, and the moment you start to defend is the moment they're in. Is the moment they're latched in, the moment you're committing yourself to that battle. Stay on your racing line. Look in front of you. The race is only going to be outside the visor, only going to be in front of you. Nice to see Rex Austin is back on the bike, by the way. A bit of a battle as well beginning to form, but it's exactly that. You don't want to be focusing on what's behind you. Ride the bike to the best of your ability, and if you ride quick enough, you won't have to worry about what's going on behind you. Just focus, stay on your lines, and if you're not under any direct pressure, don't move over and put yourself in a vulnerable position. Of course, Max Johnson drops down to 5th place because of it. He was looking for his best result thus far of the season with a 4th place. He has been in the top 5 a number of times, but now continues to drop because here comes Tommy Keates to the outside into the second hairpin, and Max Johnson is down to 6th outside the top 5. Again, just a shame for him. Of course, he had that big off this time yesterday, but yeah, not riding too well in terms of pace relative to the two in front of him.
Yeah, it was a nice move there by Tommy Keates, just smartly using the drive out of the corner. Unfortunately though, Jenson ANSELL, Max Johnson essentially handed him that position on a plate, and the 22, and yeah, thanks very much, as any sane person would in that situation. So Max Johnson has not been the best couple of laps for him, unfortunately. He just needs to rest, regroup, recover, and get back on the attack. He's still well within the sights of Keates and Ansell in front. He can still go on the attack, still try and get some positions back, get some points back. Of course, looking at Tommy Keates, Keates looking pretty pacey in this phase of the race. Maybe he fancies attacking Ansell. That's an opportunity for Max Johnson to get back to it. Oh, look at Tommy Keates. Where did that come from? Tommy Keates has got a rocket ship in a straight line. Goodness me, I wonder if Tommy Keates is running on the liquid cooled bike, because look at it in a straight line. The thing's an absolute spaceship. It's just disappeared. Wow, okay then. I'm assuming that Tommy Keates, as they come through some lap traffic there, I'm assuming Tommy Keates is running on the liquid cooled bike, because that bike, it's got a little bit more waft under it, a little bit more oomph. So Tommy Keates has just, flown up in front of them there. But Jenson ANSELL staying with him, staying on the attack. So it's not over yet. But yeah, look at the speed down the straights for Tommy Keates. Oh, coming to a stop there. Someone very unhappy. Who's that's come to a stop? I think that might be. It is. That's the race leader. Logan COUZENS has come to a stop down at McRae's. Unbelievable. Suddenly, Mason FEDRICK leads this race. An issue for Logan COUZENS. Maybe down and out, but definitely out of the lead. Unreal. Logan COUZENS, whether it's mechanical or he's come to blows, because it looks like they're trying to straighten the handlebars. I thought first it was punches of frustration, but maybe he's out.
He is.
Oh my goodness, late in the day, Logan COUZENS in race 2, the race leader, the man who's dominated this championship, is out. Mason FEDRICK leads with just 2 laps left to go.
Mason FEDRICK is searching for his first victory in the Elites this season. Logan COUZENS has won all but 2 races. Those both went the way of Josh Perkins last time out at Three Sisters, one of which he finished in second, the other which he didn't finish at all. A second DNF then this season for Logan COUZENS. It's not going to be overly detrimental for the championship, but this is huge for Mason FEDRICK, because by 7 seconds he is home free for the victory with just a lap and a half left to go. He's going to be searching, of course, for that trophy. They've still got one race later on, of course, but as far as a weekend goes, as far as starting the second half of the season goes, Mason FEDRICK on that air-cooled bike is looking very, very nice indeed, and that's what I was talking about. You've got to make your own luck and be there to pick up the pieces should something go wrong.
What a bizarre weekend that boy is having, isn't he, Mason FEDRICK, as he starts the last lap of the race. He's been up, he's been down, he's been all around, as ZZ Top would say. But man, oh man, he's about to take his first race win in the OH Logistics LC40 Elite, the premier class in junior Minimoto racing. Oh, God, sometimes racing, you can't script it, can you? As he comes into Airedales, Mason FEDRICK Of course, Logan Couzens, should I say, has been the class of the field this weekend. But sometimes Lady Luck doesn't smile on you, and he hasn't smiled on Logan Couzens in this one. The number 7 rider down and out with issues. And that means that Mason FEDRICK, with an 8.5 second gap behind him, has just got to cruise on home through the final corner. What a weird weekend it's been for this young man. For the first time in the OH Logistics LC40 Elites, Mason FEDRICK is a race winner. It may have been handed to him by reliability, but that is racing. Sometimes luck shines down on you and he knows it, but punches the air in jubilation. A great ride from the number 5, and for the first time in the premier class of junior Minimoto racing, he stands atop the podium. Caelan RATCLIFFE inherits P2. The two share a celebration down at McRae's hairpin. Tommy Keates, with a great ride, manages to slot into 3rd place and fill out the podium. But Mason FEDRICK, as he chats with his fellow riders, is a race winner.
That is remarkable. Of course, RICHH Austin, you can see they're having a chat as well, getting congratulations from Keates. Unfortunately, had that off from 2nd place, and again, it's those what ifs of racing, isn't it? What if RICHH Austin didn't go off? He would have won that race as well and taken his first of the season. So many things are always in limbo, and that's why we talk about the harsh reality of motor racing sometimes. Mason FEDRICK, though, made his own luck, a deserving winner, ready to go when things went wrong for Logan Couzens. You have to be there to pick up the pieces. You have to be there with your hands cupped ready. That's exactly what Mason FEDRICK did. He didn't make a mistake. His bike didn't fail, and he was the one that won that race. Lucky, but he was the one that wrote his own narrative and takes his first well-deserved victory in the OH Logistics LC40 Elite class. We'll run you through the results in a full moment's time, but there you can see the full celebrations and what it means to Mason FEDRICK, who's taken wins in the AC40 Pros, but nothing in the Elites thus far. And now that kid is going to be very much celebrating this evening. Mason FEDRICK then, of course, understandably takes the victory ahead of Caelan RATCLIFFE, who gets himself onto the podium ahead of Tommy Keates as well, by the way. That is a fantastic result for Tommy Keates, because he's never actually finished inside the top 5 before Rowrah, and gets himself onto the podium. Jenson ANSELL ahead of Max Johnson, the top 5, ahead of Maxwell KEATES in 6th, Oliver Wilson from RICHH Austin, and the only DNF, that one, was Logan Couzens, which is a huge, huge shame, of course, for the championship leader. Hopefully, he's not going to be too down in the dumps, and we'll see them later on for race 3.
Well, what a race we have just seen in the LS2 Helmets Mini GP 70s British Championship. Absolutely brilliant stuff. Now then, final race of the weekend for the LC40 Elites, brought to you by OH Logistics. We're being joined in the commentary box by a very special guest and someone who's got some family members out on the track, Gino Pereira. Gino, welcome to the commentary box. How are you feeling looking forward to this one?
I'm feeling really excited and happy that I'm here, and I'm looking forward to see the race.
Yeah, should be a good one. Let's just run through the starting grid very quickly. Logan Couzens starts on pole position. Mason FEDRICK in P2, RICHH Austin alongside. Max Johnson starts in P4 with Caelan RATCLIFFE 5th and Arthur Rich in P6. Row 3 is Jenson ANSELL, Maxwell KEATES and Tommy Keates, and Danny Longhurst and Oliver Wilson rounding out our grid of 11 riders. Looking forward into this one. Should be a great race out there. Gino, who do you think is going to be on top come the end of it?
I think all of them definitely have a chance, but I think it could be Logan to come out on top.
Well, Logan has been very, very quick all weekend. Let's see if he can take yet another win, or maybe someone else will be coming through to take the victory. Only time will tell. We are moments away from the start of the final LC40 Elites race of the weekend, brought to you, of course, by OH Logistics. Logan Couzens has been the man to beat all weekend long until race number 2 earlier on. A mechanical issue put him down and out of the race, and ultimately Mason FEDRICK went through to take the victory. Can Couzens recover? Can FEDRICK use that race 2 victory as inspiration to bring the attack right to the pole sitter, the championship leader? Let's find out. It's time to go racing. Race number 3 in the LC40 Elites. The lights go out and we are underway. A bit of a disappointing start there for Rex Austin. Just a little bit slow away from the lights. Mason FEDRICK keeps P2 as Logan Cousens gets an excellent start, as he always does. All single file heading down into McRae's hairpin. Cousens leads from FEDRICK, from Austin, your top three. Look there, Caelan RATCLIFFE, the number 96, started 5th on the grid, already up to 4th, maybe trying to push his way up into 3rd because he is tailing Austin very, very closely behind. Now making their way back down the hill from Erdell's hairpin into Stewart, the big right-hander down the bottom end of the track. Caelan RATCLIFFE pushing very, very hard, but not quite close enough to Rex Austin just yet. Making their way St John's for the opening time. Now Sonny Bend, the left-hander, before they reach the end of the lap. The opening lap of this race, number 3, RATCLIFFE still not quite close enough. So leading the opening lap will be Logan Cousens. As you predicted, Gino, he looks to be the favourite in this one, but he's not quite far enough ahead yet where he's comfortable. Mason FEDRICK, Rex Austin still very close behind. So as we continue to get racing, there we see Logan Cousens making his way round. Gino, obviously, your brother Emilio, he's racing, not in this race, but he's racing over in the LC40 FAB-Racing Rookies Cup. You know, what's that been like for you as a family, you know, watching him come on, watching him leading the championship at the moment as well? That must be a lot of fun. Yeah,
it's like very overwhelming and nerve-wracking because you never know what he's going to do and if he's going to crash or stay on. It's really nerve-wracking.
I can imagine, obviously, racing, it can be pretty dangerous, but Emilio's making a good job of it at the moment, running very, very well.
Yeah.
Leading the championship coming into this weekend, so you guys must be happy over in the Pereira camp?
Definitely.
That is great to hear. Back to the action very briefly. Austin starting to pull away from Caelan RATCLIFFE behind, maybe setting his sights on race 2 winner in round 5, Mason FEDRICK, who's been having a great race weekend and Monday as well. The top 4 all pretty evenly spread out at the moment as they make their way through McRae's hairpin and bombing up the hill towards Erdell's, the trickiest corner on the track, making his way around and then back down. Of course, Emilio, again, just talks about your brother, and then obviously you get to watch a whole weekend of racing as well. When you're here, you know, what's that like? Must be a pretty fun experience, you know, coming in, not just watching your brother going out and competing and winning races, but getting to see the whole kind of show here at FAB-Racing.
Yeah, it's really fun as well, because I'm making a lot of friends in the making of Emilio's career and journey.
That's great to hear, and of course, you know, friends is what it's all about. If we're not having fun, why do we go racing, you know? Tell you who is having fun at the moment, Logan Cousens, fastest lap of the race last time, 54.325. He's now got a 2-second gap ahead of Mason FEDRICK. Starting to pull away is the pole sitter on the number 7 machine. FEDRICK also maybe having to contend with Rex Austin pretty soon, because Austin is starting to up the pace and starting to close in on that number 5, leaving Caelan RATCLIFFE in a little bit of a no man's land. What do you think riders have to do in this situation? You know, still quite early in the race, but you want to make up positions. I mean, has Emilio kind of told you what kind of runs through his mind when he's racing?
He just said he doesn't really think about anything. He just goes for it and just thinks about overtaking and thinks about the next corner on, not just the corner coming. The next one is the next one.
So just kind of, he basically just thinks about riding as fast as he can, and then just getting the job done, basically. I mean, that's a very good mindset to have. As you see there, that's the 1-4-1 of Max Johnson, currently trying to hold off Tommy Keates. Tommy Keates had a great race too, made his way up into the podium places and looking for a way through on Max Johnson. Right now, the number 8 bike, 5 laps left to run for these guys. Not quite close enough to launch and overtake just yet, but certainly getting closer and closer. Max Johnson possibly feeling the pressure as they make their way through McRae's hairpin. Obviously, it's been a long weekend this weekend, Gino. A double round. Has that been, you know, pretty... and there we go. Tommy Keates up the inside. Nice move into Erdell's. Pretty simple. He was pulling lots of that in race 2 as well. He moves up into P5. As I was saying to you, though, before we got interrupted by the on-track action, very long weekend this weekend. Obviously, we've had 6 races for Emilio. Some riders out there have been doing as many as 12, some even more. It's been tough, you know. Do you think maybe everyone's starting to get a bit tired towards the end of the day?
People definitely get tired because of all the effort that they're putting in, trying to gain places and win.
Yeah, very true. I mean, normally we only have 3 races in a weekend. Then you double that, you're doubling the amount of time you're on track. Obviously, it's a lot of fun because you get to go out there and race more, but it's got to be pretty tiring as well. As there we see, that is Rex Austin closing in on Mason FEDRICK, the number 5, really starting to feel the pressure now, potentially. Race 2 winner. Oh, Austin launches a move to the inside. Brilliant from Rex Austin. FEDRICK left the door open. Austin seized the opportunity, slid on by, coming down into Stewart, and has slid up into second place as well. Can FEDRICK respond? Only time will tell as they make their way through Sunny Bend and up to Paddock Bend. At the line last time, Logan Cousens was 3.5 seconds ahead of second place. He's booked his ticket and checked out. Now 4.5 seconds, gaining a second on that last lap ahead of Rex Austin. But these two, I'm pretty sure they're locked in battle for second place. I mean, you got to be a bit excited, you know, watching at the side when, you know, your brother's maybe getting involved in battle like this. Obviously, it might be a bit scary, but when he's doing well, it's got to be a good feeling, surely. Yeah,
it definitely is, because when you know he's progressing, you're just really happy.
Yeah, that's great to hear, and of course, you want to see your family do well.
Yeah.
Of course. Mason FEDRICK unable to mount a challenge with 3 laps left to go in this one on Rex Austin. Austin starting just an inch away, corner by corner, as they bring themselves through to the fast S's section. And now coming to the left-hand side. Gino, is there anyone you'd say in racing that you look up to? Is there anyone that, you know, you'd say is kind of a racing hero? Your Marc Marquez or Valentino Rossi, someone like that?
It would definitely be Marc Marquez. He's like a big inspiration for me because of all that he's achieved.
Yeah. Is it the same for Emilio as well? Is he a Marc Marquez fan?
Definitely, yeah.
Maybe one day he'll be maybe on track with him. Maybe the age difference is a bit too big to be racing against him. So Marc is entering the twilight of his career, or beginning to get there anyway. Emilio is just getting started.
Yeah.
But certainly, maybe he could be achieving the same things one day. We can only hope for the success, not just for Emilio, of all of our riders out there. Also, Gino, I just want to say on air, thank you very much for your presence to myself and Zach. The Pereira family have been very kind to us, and given me and Zach in the commentary box some nice little presents and some nice little notes. It was very kind of you guys, so thank you so much. 2 laps left to go though, Emilio. Logan Cousens looks like he's got this one in the bag. Do you think he just... 1 lap left to go now. Do you think he essentially just needs to cruise home, take it nice and easy, and he's got the win?
Yeah, he's leading by a couple of seconds. So, yeah, I definitely think he can just stay calm and comfy and just stay where he wants to be.
Absolutely. After that heartbreak in race 2 earlier on, the mechanical issue late in the day preventing Cousens from taking the win. Mason FEDRICK graduating to the top step of the podium. This time, Logan Cousens, with half a lap left to run, is all set to take the victory. Home and dry almost. A bit of lapped traffic up in front to negotiate with, but shouldn't cause too much hassle because at the line last time it was a 4.5 second gap. Into Sunny Bend for the final time this weekend. Logan Cousens has been dominant, has been brilliant, has been marvellous, and has been winning. Logan Cousens once again takes the victory in race number 3 here in the LC40 Elite, brought to you by OH Logistics. Rex Austin will take P2 with Mason FEDRICK rounding out our podium. What a great race from all 3 of those riders that was. Gino, Logan has got to be pretty happy with that one.
Yeah, I'm definitely very happy for him, and I know that he's going to just get better and better and better as the years come by.
Absolutely. I guess now it's time for the celebrations to start. I suppose the weekend, so you can whip out the chocolate and all of that. Let's go through the results. Logan Cousens takes the win once again. Rex Austin in P2 with Mason FEDRICK rounding out our podium. Caelan RATCLIFFE in 4th with Tommy Keates 5th. Max Johnson in 6th. Maxwell KEATES was 7th. And Oliver Wilson rounding out our 8-bike grid in this one. Unfortunately, a few riders dropping out before the race even started. Gino Pereira, thank you very much for joining us in the commentary box. It's been a real pleasure, and we hope you enjoyed the racing.
Yeah, thanks for having me here.
Always a pleasure, Gino. Brilliant to have some special guests in there. That was the LC40 Elites, brought to you by OH Logistics. They are done for the weekend. But of course, they'll be back 3 weeks' time when we head to Clay Pigeon for the next round of the season.